Hey, there are angry words being thrown around in the wake of the shooting at Stoneman Douglas High School. On Thursday, NRA spokesperson Dana Loesch said this in a speech at CPAC, the conservative conference.
Many in legacy media love mass shootings. You guys love it. Now, I'm not saying that you love the tragedy, but I am saying that you love the ratings. Crying white mothers are ratings gold.
On Friday, liberal provocateur Michael Moore then tweeted this, quote, "The NRA is a terrorist organization. The media should speak of the NRA in the same way they do ISIS. Total ISIS-inspired deaths in U.S. 79, thanks to the NRA and the politicians they buy. We've had 1.2 million American gun deaths since John Lennon was shot dead in New York City. Hashtag NRA kills kids." Joining me now is David French. He's a senior writer for the National Review. He fears that the loathing on both sides of the gun debate could sever the ties that unite us as a nation. His most recent piece is called "The Gun Control Debate Could Break America." Hey, David, I find each of them that we just showed reprehensible. Your thought?
Well, right, absolutely. I mean, we've seen reprehensible rhetoric on both sides since the Parkland shooting. So we've seen people telling Americans who support gun rights that they have blood on their hands when they are desperate to stop school shootings too. They have different ideas for how to do it, but they're called murderers. They're told they have blood on their hands. And then we see this rhetoric that says that the mainstream media loves mass killings, when we know that is not the case. And we've seen people mocking the kids who are the survivors of the Parkland massacre, accusing them of being plants and trolls and being paid actors. So what you're seeing is this unbelievably vicious rhetoric, and it's being injected into a political environment that's already toxic. It's not like we had a healthy political discourse in this country before this occurred, but now it's being escalated, and it's being escalated over a life and death issue as opposed to things like net neutrality or tax reform, which are much lower stakes compared to this, and it's putting strains on the system.
And how far do you fear those strains might take us?
Well, you know, it really depends on what happens next. I mean, this is a news cycle that is persisting for a lot of very important reasons, for day after day after day. We're heading into an off-year election cycle, or we're heading into an election cycle where you're going to have more rhetoric around this issue and around other issues. And again, we cannot divorce this from the overall context. And we can't divorce it from other overall trends, such as the fact that we tend to live more in like-minded enclaves than we have in recent memory, so that we tend to live and work and live our lives with people who agree with us, which means we have less capacity to understand others. And again, all of this is pulling at the fabric of this country. It's pulling and tugging and pulling, and you can't keep doing that forever.
I give Senator Rubio credit for going into the lion's den, for appearing at that CNN town hall meeting earlier this week. Here's just a snippet of what transpired.
Your comments this week and those of our president have been pathetically weak.
I'll repeat what I said, and then I'm going to tell you what we're going to do.
David, how does that fit into your analysis? How is that indicative of what you see going on out there?
Well, and let's keep in mind, that was one of the more civil moments. I mean, we actually had one of the kids from Parkland comparing Marco Rubio, to the shooter himself. I mean, we had people shouting at Dana Loesch that she was a murderer. So what that tells me is that there is this very deep rage, and some of those things are just unacceptable to say. I mean, even if you're very angry, you still have moral responsibilities to treat other people with dignity and respect. And so when you're seeing that kind of imagery, and I guarantee you there are millions of Americans who agree with Marco Rubio, who are seeing him treated in that way, And they're getting angry, and they're getting concerned. And then when you hear wild cheering for things like banning all semi-automatic rifles in the United States, that begins to tip the balance again from a standpoint of I'm open-minded to discussing creative solutions to, oh, you're against me. The agenda here is confiscation, and the polarization just keeps continuing. We're not in a mode of persuasion anymore. We're in a mode of mobilization, and that creates increased tension.
What frustrates me is that so many are speaking past one another. In an opening commentary that I delivered here that I hope you heard, I mean, I think there's something very reasonable out there that we all should be able to agree on, and that is a better system of data integration to prevent guys like this from getting access to weaponry.
Well, right, and I've been advocating something called a gun violence restraining order that some states are experimenting with. And under a gun violence restraining order, a person close to a troubled individual can come forward to a local court with evidence that this person is a danger to themselves or others, and they can secure a temporary order allowing the sheriff or a police department to seize that person's weapons. And that's a situation under the facts of this case, a gun violence restraining order could have been very, very useful. So there are solutions that people are talking about, and there are some things that can be done in the short term to address this contagion of mass killings, but it's getting lost in the overall tribal conflict.
No doubt. David, thank you so much. I appreciated what you wrote.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.